All right, welcome to another song title challenge where the question is, climbers, how would you write this one? We have listeners of this podcast who we lovingly refer to as climbers send in their song titles to info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular, there is no S. Info@daredevilproduction.com. Put song title challenge or STC in the subject line so that it gets into the right folder. If you don't, it won't. And then I spring that title live to Brent and a guest on the show. And we try to cook up 5 or 6 different conceptual angles for writing that song title. Number one, we want to just demonstrate it's super fun to do. It's a fun creative exercise, but we want to demonstrate that rabbit hole that you need to go down to make sure that you're not writing something cliche, that you've worked around to the very best idea and the very best angle that you can write that song. And number two, and we've had a number of hit songwriters on this show already who are just like, I love this. I'm going to go do this to my hook book, who haven't thought about it this way, but it breathes like new life into like really old hooks. And Brent, I mean, you practice what you preach. You went back, what, 25 years? And
yeah, started at the beginning, 1994. And
got a
started
couple
going through
cuts.
these. Yeah, I've got not from any of my 1994 hooks, but from hooks that are probably, I don't know, several years old. I've been writing and we've been demoing them and gotten some cuts, and so it's been working for me. So I've been really happy that this started as a podcast challenge, and now it's something that I enjoy doing as often as I get to do it. So yeah, it's paying off.
Awesome. Well, once again, it is a fun creative exercise. It's not a co-write in any way, shape, or form. So use all of what we say on here. If we use your title, use none of what we say. But we do demand a invite to the number one party, and there better be an open bar for Johnny. You know what I mean? So today, man, we are super excited to, as far as our podcast is concerned, we have a legend with us because
Yes.
we have the amazing Troy Johnson, man, lead singer of the Nashvilleans, songwriter extraordinaire with cuts by, he wrote Tonight for Sarah Evans, Getaway Car for Thompson Square, Some Days You Gotta Dance by the Chicks. And one of those, I forget which one it was, but one of those is recorded by James Taylor too. So, but more important
Some
than
Days
all
You Gotta
of those,
Dance is like Some Days You Gotta get recorded by Dixie Chicks, Keith Urban, and James Taylor.
Yeah, for the same song.
For the same song.
But more important than all that wishy-wash, those names, who knows who those people are? This is the voice of our podcast theme song, y'all. Troy Johnson, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. It's wonderful to be here. I don't know if I was on camera the whole time. I was trying to give you guys time to intro, but thanks for letting me on, and it sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time, and I have to say this too because I've worked with Troy's current band, the Nashvilleans, with Scott Lindsay and Brett Boyette, and if y'all haven't, the record's dropped now, and if you haven't heard this, man, and you want to hear something like really freaking cool and really new, and also this first release from the Nashvilleans, it's a concept record. It's a country music concept album that is just so badass. It tells the story from the beginning to the end, and all the songs connect, and it's absolutely fantastic. And we talk about creating new lanes, right? Well, they have created a brand new lane called Dark Country. So it's like Dark Side of the Moon meets the space of Dark Side of the Moon meets country music, and lyrically it can be a little dark, and it's so good, man. It's just freaking good. Like, you want to do country, this is where you want to go. So
yeah, well, lyrically it can be a lot dark. In fact, the very last song has the lead character, the character of the song, sings the last chorus as a spirit. He's dead by the end of the song, and I always find that humorous. That first of all actually does work, and second of all, that we were actually able to accomplish it. So it's been a fun project to work on for sure.
Yeah, man, it's cool. But it's fun to kind of see it come to life from the beginning. So congrats on that. All right, are
Thank
y'all
you.
ready for the song title here?
Man,
This
I've
is
never been
from,
ready a day in my life for this, but
this is
yet,
from Chris. I'm never ready.
but yet we've done over 100 of them. So when did that ever stop us?
That's right. So this is from Chris
Hey,
Tiscarino,
Tiscarino.
and the song
Yeah.
title is, and this is an unusual one, but the song title is "Sticky Dimes and Nickels."
Okay.
Sticky
Sticky
dimes
Wow.
and
dimes and
nickels.
nickels. All
Now,
right.
Well,
usually I get,
my first question is what makes them sticky?
well, that might be where we have to go down that road.
This is
Well, I
where
think that's an important question to answer if you're going to write a song about it.
exactly. Which
Because I
by
mean,
the
they could be sticky from any number of sources.
yes, I know my mind is
Well,
already going to
I've got something right
odd
off the
Yeah,
places.
bat.
I'm sure, Brent, your mind is going to the place mine's going.
Like can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that.
Well, I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the song "Foldin' Money"
Radney
by
Foster?
by Radney Foster. "Foldin' Money," and
Money.
that is just.
A
I mean that
jam.
that first of all, that record is amazing, but that
Yeah.
song in particular is kind of amazing. So
What do you say? I'm a lot
sticky
more all I
dimes
know is
and
I'm a lot more handsome with the C note in my pocket.
oh my gosh,
I hadn't heard
he's
that
so
song in a
good.
while. So good.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, so Chris, Troy, I know you've sung on some of his stuff because it's come across my desk a
Yes, I
few
have.
times.
Yeah,
So
his name. Yes, I know Chris.
yeah, rings bells. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So okay, Johnny, you normally give us your hot take before we really dive in. What's your take on this one? I'm not
So
sure whether to be
this,
happy with Chris or hate him at the moment.
well, yeah,
Right. Yeah,
I'm
this
right there.
seems like a curveball for sure.
I'm
Yeah.
right there with you. This is a definite curveball. It seems really specific, but I feel like because Troy, we can add anything to the end of this title or to the beginning of this title to
Mhm.
twist it around. So I feel like if we work and we dig a little trench here, we can really go a lot of different ways. I mean, the first thing that I was just thinking of, just to sort of kick off the creative sandbox here, was I think about a woman's purse,
Mhm.
right? And there's all that crap in the bottom of a woman's purse that
Yeah.
they all
Yeah.
have, right? Which includes like sticky dimes and nickels.
Mhm.
But I was just thinking like, it's right there in the purse next to the sticky dimes and nickels. And
Yeah.
what's that? We could
Right.
go kind of tell a story there.
Yeah. I think a few things. One, the first thing I thought of, there's a line in a Diamond Rio song from the 90s, probably, that was written by Neil Thrasher. I think it's called Sweet Summer, but there's a line in there about like these kids getting going to buy ice cream and suckers, like frozen
Yeah.
popsicles and stuff from the
Yep.
from the
Yep.
vendor, the
Yep.
truck that comes by, and handful of
Yep.
sticky nickels, dimes, and quarters. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Now that was just a line in the song, so obviously that's not a problem at all for writing this title. But it made me
Right.
think of that like kind of a deep cut. So I think of
Well,
kids
what
with
that would
kids.
provide if you took that scenario, what that would provide is a more positive angle than
Hmm.
what you might come up with. Because my mind tends to go as gritty and dramatic as it can,
Hmm.
and my thought was close to yours, but more in the Alabama backcountry where you're a kid and your mother asks you to go down to the local convenience store to buy her some cigarettes or some
Hmm.
something that she needs, and all you got is sticky dimes and nickels, and that broadens out to a social commentary of some kind, and
Hmm.
even I hesitate to say it, but even on a racial element.
Hmm.
But God, that it's a really really interesting title, uh, and the sticky part is what makes it stick. For lack of a better way to say it,
Ba-dum.
Yeah,
it's the most interesting part of that title.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've all
Yeah.
heard nickel and dime and that kind of stuff, but sticky it opens a loop. I want to know Yeah,
Ooh.
why?
Oh, okay. So wait. You just opened up another avenue, Brent. With I'm gonna nickel and dime you.
Yeah.
Well, then
Oh,
you can go into a con man that
Mhm.
that that not only nickels and dimes you, but he's gonna take back
Yeah.
what he gave you because he's a con man.
Yeah, it's sticky, man, sticky fingers.
He's got sticky dimes and sticky fingers. Yeah, my goodness. This
that's
So
really can
fun.
go on forever, can it?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the
I mean, it's
fun.
just this is now we're in the sandbox. How
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
on the note of what you were talking about with the the ice cream truck and all that stuff? What if
Yes.
it's just a nostalgic
Yep.
song about
Mm.
what it was like to be a kid,
Yeah.
and we did
Yes.
all
And
this,
as
and
a
that's one
songwriter,
of the
yes.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as a Nashville songwriter, that's probably the best place to end up because of the positivity of it and the nostalgia of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that because I think of car consoles, you know,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you got the cup
I've
holder.
got sticky dimes and nickels in there right now.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
me too. Yeah, because it's a cup holder. There's a Coke spilled over a little bit, or just whatever. I got 5 kids, so my whole life is sticky. But it could be that thing. I also think of this old John Michael Montgomery song from his first record called "Nickels and Dimes in Love." Back in the
Yeah.
I remember digging through your old couches and hope we'd get enough
Yeah.
change for an RC cola or a pack of cigarettes. Back in the times of nickels and dimes in love. Like could it be that kind of thing of just like living on the
Well,
cheap?
what's funny, I think, is that you actually came up with a title that might coincide with this. My whole life is sticky.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
And that is that's autobiographical, and that's always, the best avenue to go is to get as close to your personal life as possible,
Yeah.
because that's what makes it the most real, I think. But
Yeah. You can get those
yeah,
little details in there.
if we were in a three-way writing session right now, I would go with Brent's direction, more so than anything else I've heard.
Yeah. And I think too of like, so sticky, like playing off that, because Troy, you're totally right. That word is what really makes this shine as a title. So is it like sticky dimes and nickels and a smooth getaway? Is that kid that stole some money out of the purse or out of
Yeah,
the ashtray or whatever, the cup holder, and now he's going to buy something maybe he shouldn't, whether it's candy,
yeah,
whether it's Playboy, whether
cigarettes.
it's
Yeah.
cigarettes,
Oh,
whatever,
that's good.
and he got
Yeah.
away with it. Like they'll never notice it's gone. His sticky dimes and nickels and a
or
smooth getaway.
if you want to try to play off the opposites, where it's hard to let go of those sticky dimes and nickels,
Yeah.
whatever that might bring, because I'm playing off your smooth getaway, which might be a little hard to get to,
Yeah. It's such a story.
but
Well, you know what? Why do they get sticky? Because it's what if it's like
they're
um
old
well,
and they
they're
got
old and they
dust
stay there,
and
right? Like they're
crap on
not
them.
important enough to be
Right.
to
That's a
be
good
moved.
element.
So what if
That's a
it's
good element.
like flyover states or something? There's a lot of ways we could go down there. It's like I feel like sticky dimes and nickels. Because you're getting overlooked. You're not being.
Yeah,
There's
you
no
could
commerce.
metaphorically, yeah, you could attach yourself to sticky dimes and nickels
Yeah.
as an entity, and metaphorically say, that's how I feel. I'm
Yeah.
as lost, or I'm as forgotten as.
Ooh,
Or it could be
Yeah.
like, they don't like, if we're the like these good old boys are the equivalent of sticky. Well, I'd want to say sticky nickels and dimes when dime is an easier rhyme at the end than nickel, and sticky nickel as a
Absolutely.
sticky
Yeah.
nickels and dimes. I like
oh
the
yeah,
flow of
there you
Yeah.
that.
go.
But
Yeah,
if we're
that's a
the
much better flow.
yeah, so if these good old country boys are sticky nickels and dimes, you just forget about us till you're in a pinch, but we'll get you out of a pinch. Like,
Ooh,
right?
I like that a
Like we're just
lot.
hanging around and we're ignored and
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just like Johnny was saying. So let's play off what Johnny was saying. Like we're just, not valued till you need us. And then thank God you
Ooh,
Yeah,
got us.
I was
Right?
just about to say the word need. You're gonna forget about the sticky nickels and dimes until you need them.
Right. And then
oh,
you're
that's
looking
so
for
good.
every one of us you can find. Sticky
Could
nickels and
that be could
dimes.
that be like a positive sort of metaphor to talk about police?
You're gonna have
That's
to
interesting.
expand
Nobody
on that. I
likes a
don't
cop
understand
until
that.
you need one.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
well, I don't hold that view, so maybe I'm not part of this right.
Well, it would be it'd be people. Some people
It's a
think
fam-
that about them, but
it's
we
a
know
famous saying that cops will
we're
say.
valuable.
Cops will tell you
Yeah,
nobody
they
likes a
might feel
cop
that
until
about
you need one.
themselves.
That's how they
Yeah,
feel about
right.
themselves. You
Oh,
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
that's a phrase. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a common phrase. I've heard it from multiple uh, friends of
Well,
mine.
certainly the good old boy aspect of Brent's idea would fall right in line to whatever modern country is, because
Mhm.
that's something the Peach Pickers would write.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so it's kind of that. I don't know how. It's probably more quirky than anthemic, just because how you
Somebody
like
grab a
sticky
guitar. What are
nickels
we
and
what are we
dimes.
talking about? Let's grab a guitar. What are we
Yeah.
waiting on?
This would be the point
Jeez.
where Troy grabs a guitar and we try to figure out how it sings on
How
something
it
and build
sounds,
around
yeah,
that. Yeah.
right. And
Um,
what's the first line of the chorus? Yeah,
you don't.
how do you introduce that? Because I wouldn't want to bookend it. You don't want to start with sticky nickels and dimes and end with it. It sounds like one of those titles that sort of slips in at the last moment under the radar, that just ends up being a cool place to land, as opposed to
Mhm.
something you necessarily hang the hat of the song on.
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it could be a thing like kind of like you don't see us till you need us. We'll get you out of a jam or whatever. Uh, just like sticky nickels and dimes and good old boys like us. If you did something like that,
Right,
and
right, an
maybe
extended
the
title.
verse is talking about you got the picture of the car and then digging through change for whatever it is, and then glad to have it. And boy, that's a lot like us. You don't see us till you need us, and then blah blah blah. We come through and save the day, sticky nickels and dimes and good old boys like us. And
Yeah, the only other thought that I had that reminded me of a song was I drive your truck.
Hmm.
yeah.
When you're talking about all that stuff in the car,
Hmm.
that song is what it brings springs to my mind, and
That's the
which
imagery
is,
right there.
yeah, the
Yeah.
imagery. And you could go, all he left, in the same way that I drive your truck. All that's left are the sticky nickels and dimes. Well,
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say the opposite, but it is better, sticky nickels.
Yeah, it is. It just got that little ickle in there.
Yeah, ickle. Yeah, that's important.
Ickle. Well, how about okay? So how about this? Going back to kind of where I started, I'm just visualizing like my mother's purse as a
Uh-huh.
kid,
Okay.
and everything that's in there, right? So there's like a piece of gum that's still sort of in the wrapper that
Still,
unchewed gum that's been there for like 4 years,
yeah.
and then there's a tissue, right? And there's all those things that a mom is going to have to maybe it's a song about your mom,
Mhm.
maybe it's this like all
It
this
could be,
because you
but the plausibility, but it could be, but the plausibility of rummaging through my mom's purse. I mean, I don't know if I ever did that to
Mhm.
any degree to actually expand that into a song.
Mhm.
I want to say that would be, it would get to that direction, would start to contrive in a way that wants to be something it just couldn't be. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
what if
That
it's from
that's
a
my
female
only.
perspective?
Oh well, I don't write female songs.
Well, yeah, you do.
No, I'm
You had
kidding.
your song
I'm
covered by the
kidding.
chicks
I know.
and
I
Sarah
know. I'm kidding.
Evans
Sarah Evans
and
is
I'm kidding.
and
I'm kidding. I'm
and
kidding.
and
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different perspective. Yeah, I would have to like completely, turn my brain around
Yeah.
to
And
figure
that's
out
also
how
where
that
the
would be
writers in the
female.
room, have to go, okay, what connects with us? Because somebody else may be like, say, a female writer that had that experience of always digging through her mom's purse might be, oh my gosh, I see the whole thing. Whereas like,
Yes.
you know, maybe it just doesn't land with us. And that's sometimes the beauty and the mystery of what rooms you're in when certain ideas come up. Um,
Yes.
and,
And
and
it
I
is
like it.
important.
Mhm.
I want to point out one thing. It's important who's in the room. Not
Mhm.
not not in the sense that their stature, but any entity that enters the room of songwriting is important.
Yeah.
And because it creates it it creates a different spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I bring this up is somebody relayed a story to me a long time ago that there was a certain songwriter that would initial his lines
Oh.
as they were writing, and I'm like, and the thought of that was like, that's ridiculous, because
Ew.
first of
Yeah.
all, every not every line, but the lines that exactly what we're doing now. The lines that I throw out are an amalgamation of what we've been talking about. It's not
Mhm.
my line,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
our line. And I
Mhm.
think that's important for the listeners to know, or the whoever this audience is. It might be, I don't think it's subject to Nashville, or I don't think it's only Nashville, but I think I I uh, I appreciate Nashville in the sense that most all the songwriters know that and
Yeah.
Mhm.
appreciate that,
Yes.
and it's a community effort. So you have a guy sitting in the corner that says literally nothing, but his spirit is part of that song in some odd, metaphysical way, and
Mhm.
I don't want to. To me, that's important,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for better or worse. Actually, I mean, it's not always good, but
Right.
Yeah.
but 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 whoever's in the room is going to be on the page,
Yes.
Yeah.
and so whoever's in the room gets credit in the writers.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't want to derail us, but I
No,
thought it
that's
was important to bring that
that's a
up.
big point, and I think the way that works out, and how Nashville is generous that way, is if that person just sits in the room too many times, they'll stop being in the room. If that,
Yes,
unless
yeah,
somebody can
right. You'll
point to
stop
like,
calling that.
yeah.
You'll stop calling that person.
Exactly.
That's
So
right.
it's like some days, I'm the windshield, some days I'm the bug, some days I contribute more than others. But on balance, if I'm contributing, I'll keep getting in rooms. We don't worry about the day.
Yeah.
We worry about the whole thing. Yeah. And my thing on that, which that would totally freak me out, especially these days of like Google Docs, if all of a sudden I saw somebody's initials pop in next
Oh
to a
my
line,
gosh. Yeah.
very distracting. But also I'm like, are you fighting for your line, your percentage, or are you fighting for the song? Like when you're, angling
Exactly,
for a
that's a
line,
great point,
it's
yeah.
like, I wanna know
Yeah,
you
because
just want
as
the
a
best song, not the best percentage.
absolutely.
That would
Yeah, absolutely,
totally
yeah,
freak
you
me out.
always fight for the song.
Mhm.
That's why you rewrite the song, because 'cause you're fighting for the freaking song.
That's right. Yep.
What else would you pay for with sticky nickels and dimes?
Man, is it
What
blood
else would you
money?
do what?
What else would you pay for with
Oh,
sticky
what else
nickels
would
and
you
dimes?
pay for?
But, going to Troy's, like, deep, dark, Nashvilleans kinda thing, again, it's the room, right? It makes me think of this. What if it's blood on the money? Like, he's doing time because he killed somebody over
Oh
sticky
my
nickels and
gosh,
dimes.
yeah, you're getting
Oh,
down there. You're
I
getting
want a
down there,
Nashvilleans
yeah,
cut out
because
of this. Um,
that's why I
yeah,
mentioned earlier,
like, why is it
it
sticky?
really depends on what the stickiness, the source of the stickiness, because
Mhm.
blood. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what if somebody
Now you're
murdered
fascinating.
talking
somebody,
drama.
like, a mugging gone wrong, not that one ever goes right, but, and he killed somebody, and he's got a handful of, like, bloody nickels and dimes out of it, and that was it.
Yeah,
What a
yeah, and
Oh,
that's definitely a path you can go down, but the word nickels
Mhm,
and the word dimes are so light in character
mhm,
that it would really be hard to make that. It would really depend on how you presented it,
it would be.
because if you hung the song on that phrase, I think it would have to be a throwaway kind of thought that would make the song work. You couldn't hang
Yeah,
you'd only have to use it as a how do I say this? As a visual device. You
mhm,
really couldn't. No, it could still be the title of the song and maybe
right,
the hook of the song, but you'd really have to treat it with kid gloves, and not hang a lot of information on that,
mhm, yeah,
because once you get to, and this is just my initial response, which is I guess what we're going for. Um, the idea of saying nickels and dimes after you've talked about a murder
mhm,
really
oh well.
extracts. Does that make sense? Am I
Yes,
making
for
sense?
me,
Yeah,
part of what
yeah,
makes
but
it interesting though is the fact that somebody died
Right, the dichotomy.
over nickels and dimes. It
yeah, like it should
awkward
have
Yes,
been.
pretty
It
yes,
much.
should have
Like
yes,
been.
yes.
somebody died over that?
You'd expect there to
Yeah,
be
right.
something
Yeah.
else behind it. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah, but it wouldn't be
robbery.
plausible.
They
But it
robbed
wouldn't
a
be
broke
plausible,
person.
right? But they would. Yeah,
Well,
right.
it's like
My
if somebody
God.
mugged, they didn't know what all was in the purse or the wallet, and they got
And all I got was, and all
all
I
they got
got
was
was
sticky nickels
sticky
and dimes.
nickels
Not that
and
he murdered somebody
dimes.
for that, but that's like, oh my gosh, what a waste! Like the dude's wallet was empty,
Yeah, but
dude.
it,
You know, he was broke
yeah. Well,
anyway, or whatever.
that particular
So
phrase wouldn't the character wouldn't be nobody'd like that character anyway. He wouldn't
no,
be
it would have to be like a third
yeah. It'd have
person
to be from a
story.
perspective of something from the victim, I guess. I don't know.
Or yeah, or just straight
Wow.
third person telling the story, and you know he was having a hard time, blah blah. Then somebody
See,
mugged him
that's
and
right
got
up
shot.
Troy's alley. Like it's from the
Yeah, but that would have
spirit.
to
It's
be.
from the
I would think.
spirit of the dead
Yeah,
guy thinking, "Wow, what a waste! I was going to do this.
At
I was going to do that. I was going to do this." And
Yeah, but right, but at that point, I would think that I wouldn't be able to hook it with sticky nickels and dimes.
yeah. It's
It,
such a.
that scenario sounds like a verse
It'd be
that
like
would.
bloody nickels and dimes would be more
Right,
like. Then you're like,
right.
oh okay, but sticky is like, yeah, it doesn't quite connect
Yeah,
as
maybe it's the
tightly.
sticky part that makes it less dramatic than the nickels and dimes
Yeah, I
part.
agree. If it were bloody nickels and
Yeah,
dimes, you'd be like, what is that? You know,
yeah.
interesting.
So far, I like the good old boy,
yeah,
aspect of what you're talking
yeah. You
about.
don't see us till you
The
need us.
idea that The idea that, yeah, you forget about us till you need us.
Hmm.
Oh, how about this? Well,
Or
okay,
love.
one more angle before we wrap it up. Like,
Yeah.
what about? I'm thinking of um, like a laundromat or
Yeah.
Mhm.
a bubble gum machine or what imagery is that? That's laundromat. These are people that don't have a washer and dryer,
Yeah.
and a story about being poor or something
Mhm.
like that, and they're you're setting the sort of the stage, if you will. The furniture is like they're putting sticky nickels and dimes and to get a gumball out,
Mhm.
and while they're waiting for their laundry to get done, and what happens in a laundromat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be something. It could be a first meeting
Mhm.
of
She knows, like, she sure does shine feeding that washer sticky nickels and dimes, that
yeah,
kinda
yeah,
thing
yeah,
of, like,
yeah. There you go.
loving
Yeah,
the
but that's
laundromat.
right, but that sounds like a vignette song where each verse is a different thing and you hang your hat on sticky nickels and dimes. What other scenarios are you got the mom, you got the
Mhm.
laundromat, and you got you certainly couldn't go to the murder thing, but
Well, actually, a guy I
maybe
went to high school with
maybe your dad,
uh,
yeah.
a guy I went to high school with, he was a year or 2 younger than me, we're on the track team together, and, yeah, he went to prison, he's still in prison if he's still alive, because he murdered a lady with a screwdriver, like, robbing the laundromat.
This is your real life?
Yeah, yeah, the guy I went to high school with.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, he's from Arkansas, Troy.
Stuff happens, man.
Enough said. Enough
Yeah,
said. Got it.
so, I'm like that just hit me, I was like, "Oh," when you mentioned laundromat, I was like, "Oh, okay." Um, but what if that like, my whole life was sticky nickels and dimes? Like, the kid thing,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
looking
you
back, like
definitely have to.
and then the
Yes, you
vignettes and
definitely
the
have to. It's definitely a metaphor title. That's
yeah,
the thing. It's a metaphor title. You can use it in a lot of different ways if you treat it as a metaphor and not. Uh, 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 yeah, I mean that's totally understandable. One thought I had was if you extract sticky from the title,
mhm,
then it would open up a lot of different things. And I don't know if you'd lose a lot. You certainly would benefit from the graphic nature of the word sticky if you
uh-huh.
kept it in there, and you certainly could use it. But if you just said, the nickel and dimes of life, or the you might be able to broaden the spectrum if you just took the word sticky out.
Oh, yeah, for sure, and then you get, like, 3 more episodes worth of ideas out of nickels and dimes.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
for
But
sure.
but but what but my point is that sticky is important, and it it certainly helps with the visceralness of the
Hmm.
idea, but I still think you could retain a certain amount of authenticity
Hmm.
if you ran with nickels and dimes idea metaphorically as well. So don't 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 you know don't burden yourself with the word sticky if you really don't need to.
Yeah, that's true. Once you get in the room, it's like go follow where things lead for sure. Don't hang on too tight to that stuff. But playing off the sticky too, I think of what is that guy that's he's poor, but he's always he's a hustler. Like he's never really he just barely getting by on like
Yeah.
slick talk and sticky nickels and dimes, or that kind of thing, or smooth talk and sticky nickels and dimes. Like he's always broke, got just
Yeah,
enough, and
it
you
goes
trust
back
some
to the
people
con
and
man
the
idea.
con thing.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
goes
but
back to the yeah. Well, what and what I like that a lot because it is con oriented, and the sticky part, you without working too hard, you get that idea of, well, even though those nickels and dimes went somewhere, he's always getting them back because they're
yeah,
sticky.
yeah,
He never he's kind of always, playing you.
yeah. Living off your good
And
graces.
the word sticky is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that regard, and you don't have to work too hard to get that point across.
Mhm.
It's a really, really interesting idea for sure.
Yeah.
What okay, final thought here. What if it's on
Are you
that
gonna go back to
note?
your mom?
No. What no, what if
I'm
it's
just
that
kidding. I'm kidding.
what if it's like that redneck guy that it's not a con thing? What if it's that guy that is never gonna be a millionaire? He
Mm.
doesn't have aspirations to be a millionaire, and he kinda but he'll always get you there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's solid as a rock, even though sometimes he's paying for his food with sticky nickels and dimes or something like that.
Yeah,
You know what I
always
mean?
getting
Like it's
by on
always
sticky.
getting
Well, what I
by.
yeah, as you were talking, Johnny, the one phrase that popped into my head was rubbing two nickels together.
Mhm.
Is
Ooh,
Yeah.
there a is there a connection between that thought, which is, man, he can't, because the idea of that is that he's just poor, right?
Yeah.
He can't even rub two nickels together, which
yep.
Mhm.
is kind of the cousin of sticky nickels and dimes. Is
There
there a nothing's coming to mind, but is there a connection between that?
there there is somewhere in there.
Obviously not. I'm hearing silence.
Yeah. No, I just need another sip of coffee but I know what you mean. It's like he ain't got 2 to rub together, but he'll get by, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well,
and kinda
That
like
I
kinda
guess
thing.
when it comes to
But
when it comes to a phrase like that, you don't necessarily have to use that phrase, but it opens up it might open up another avenue of sticky nickels and dimes that
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
the
kinda like
character is now more developed because of that
Mhm.
introduction of rubbing two nickels together.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
Uh,
like a country boy can survive kind of a thing. Like
Yeah.
he's
yeah,
like
exactly.
he's never gonna ask you for anything, right? Even if he's paying with sticky nickels and dimes, that kind of a thing. Like he's always gonna be able to take care of himself, that
A
kind of vibe to it. That's
yeah.
the moral fabric in the character of the South, you
And I
know.
wanna, and I
Yeah.
wanna have a third thing on the top of this phrase, like a country kid, maybe even not a country boy or country kid can get by on something, something, and sticky nickels and dimes, on,
Ooh,
Ooh, I got a
you
hey,
know?
hey, I got something. I got something. Let's go back to the nostalgia thing. What
Mhm.
if the setup to the hook was we grew up on sticky nickels and dimes?
There you go. Yeah.
ooh.
What if
And there
that
you
was the
have it.
hook? And then, that's a classic nostalgic,
Mhm.
dirt road story that and you could even go generational. Mama grew up on sticky nickels and
Mhm.
dimes. Daddy grew up on, and that's just the way it is where we are. We grew up on sticky nickels and dimes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
well, they're sticky because 'cause
and
they're hard to let go of too, right? Because each one is
oh
precious.
yeah, you could
So, like,
bring that into it for
they
sure.
stick to my fingers because it's hard to let them go, but also they're sticky because I mean, it's in the floorboard of the car, in the cup holder, in the purse, in the
Right.
couch, on the street, like, finding it, and that's what we grew up on, and we got by. Yeah, that's how we got by. Yeah, I grew up on sticky nickels and dimes. Like we didn't spend it if you didn't,
Yeah.
like you held on to it until you needed it and you
Right.
found it and
Right.
you're
Well,
like
when you
foraging.
go to the yeah, exactly. When you go, I mean, in your early 20s, when you go to the gas station, you got $3,
Yeah.
right, to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
gas. So
Yeah.
you're trying to you're going through your car trying to find all this money to get 2 gallons of gas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's the sticky nickels and dimes. But I wouldn't want to lose the idea of the forgottenness and the devaluation
Hmm.
of money of denominations that low. That's such a powerful metaphorical
Yeah.
idea of the sticky nickels and dimes are the forgotten man. They are
Hmm.
the how do I say
The
this?
farmer, the
Th-
truck
They
driver,
are the
the
farmer, right? They are exactly,
the s-
Yep.
exactly. They are the
micro's
farmer.
dirty
They are
jobs,
the put upon. They right,
The flyover
but
states,
Yeah.
the
but
faded
they're
map
worth
gods.
something,
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. Especially when they're
Yeah.
all you got.
Oh, that's
especially when it's all you got, and that ends up being the backbone of your existence.
Yeah.
ooh. That there's something there with that if that's all you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
In association with sticky
If
nickels
all,
and dimes.
yeah, yeah, if all you got is sticky nickels and dimes.
Man, they shine, you know?
Man,
Man, you're happy,
Brett's
yeah.
still trying to rhyme.
I am. That's how I'm wired, man.
Well,
It's
Troy
fine. It's
Johnson,
fine if you got sticky nickels and dimes.
it's
Anyway, go ahead,
fine.
Johnny. Sorry.
I was just gonna say thank you, brother. I think we got a lot of good looks at this,
Yeah, this is a
man,
good one.
and
Good.
so fun playing in the sandbox with you, brother. Thank you for saying yes.
Yes, man. Thanks for
Oh,
being
Um,
here.
absolutely. Thank you. This was a pleasure for sure. I I I I was expecting several titles, but just digging in on one and
Mhm.
just
yep, just
going as
one,
far as you can on it.
Yep.
That's
just one.
that. Yeah,
It's
I'll
a
be
heck.
back. Please ask me back.
Oh, heck
Oh, we
yeah.
will, dude. This is so. Actually straight up. I was thinking that. I was like, man, this was so much fun with you. Like, you should be like come on regularly.
Can I? Yeah, I'd love to be a regular.
a
That'd
few,
be
a few,
great.
a few more times.
I
So,
mean,
um,
you already are.
check.
You just don't have to show up for it. You're on like every episode. They hear you more than they hear me, I think, sometimes.
Yeah,
That's that's
that's
true.
serendipitous, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is true. Troy, where can everybody find the Nashvilleans on social media and stuff?
They're on, we've got a website, nashvillainsband.com. Make sure you spell it right. NASHVILLAINS, nashvillains.com. You can get us on YouTube, same way. If you just Google Nashvilleans Band, you'll get all of our social media stuff. And yeah, we had a record come out March the 4th. You can get us on Spotify and all the streaming platforms. And I encourage you guys to do it because I'm really proud of it. And it, it satisfies a genre of country music I don't think is getting represented, or at least I'm hoping we might be the first. And I want to give a shout out to Johnny because he helped us come up with dark country, and
Uh,
that's definitely the 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 moniker that describes us the most succinct. So I
that's
appreciate
very
that,
sweet
Johnny.
of you.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listen. I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing. I really am. You got one of the best voices in Nashville
Mhm.
without a doubt. And God, I don't know how y'all got together, but that whoever concocted that is a mastermind. I mean, to put you and Lindsay and Boyette together, and it's killer, man. It was always just we got to work together a lot, and it was a blast doing it. So check this out. This is something different. This is not your normal country, guys. So if you and I will say that you created your own lane. So from a marketing perspective, it makes my nipples hard too. It's just it's just so
Well,
it's so
you were a
genius.
big part of that early on. Thank you, Johnny. I really appreciate it. And Brent, we need to get together and write something.
Heck yeah. If you ever need to write that Laundromat Murder song, you just call me and Chris and we'll go there.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
But yeah,
We'll
brother, that'd
put
be
it on the
fun.
next concept record.
I
Right.
love it, man. Well, thanks again, Troy. Guys, that brings us to the end of another song title challenge. Send your titles in to info@daredevilproduction.com. And we're going to get a heavy hitter like Troy, along with a heavy hitter like Brent. and me just coaching and keeping the puck in play here. And we'll get you 5-6 different angles for that. We'll catch you a bunch of them. All right. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.